you'll see, the husband, he walks up to confront the man. The man's gun is not drawn at the moment. He walks right up to him, and there's no space for this man or opportunity for this man to actually draw the gun. The woman kind of involved herself in the whole situation, grabbed the husband, which, gave that man space and opportunity to draw his weapon with the man's back turned, and then shot him in his back. And then the son rushed, seeing his father, get shot. And, he ended up getting shot and killed as well. So this situation, unfortunately, could have been avoided. And I'm not going to put blame on, the wife, but this is why, when two men are striving or, arguing, women aren't supposed to, physically, involve themselves. And I do want to just get a precept on that just really quickly.
What do you mean?
Deuteronomy 25 and read 11 through 12.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 11. And it reads, when men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near, for to deliver a husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets, then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her.
So the reason I wanted to pull that, you don't really truly see this applied in the scripture. So I take this, I know it's in the law, but I take this as almost parabolic. When two men are striving, women should not be trying to involve themselves to try to neutralize the situation. You see so many times, whether it be a fight or, unfortunately in this situation, a shooting, once that woman kind of involves herself, the man either gets knocked out or killed, but she's trying to defend. So, just kind of wanted to bring this out. But, brothers, if you have any comments, feel free.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, it's definitely a tragic story. I would say, definitely good wisdom as to, women striving in the midst of men. But I do believe that this brother, whoever he is, he came there to kill, because there's no way. I don't think that this would have, it's amazing that she didn't get shot and she was able to get back into the house. But I don't think anything was going to prevent, her husband from being probably killed. The Most High kind of had it in that way. And this is, this goes back to that Deuteronomy 28:54. Because if you look at it, right, like, the whole video, like you see him like standing by the stairwell, right? And then, you see the brother comes out and he's putting on his shoes and he comes all the way out, and then he goes back in the house to put on a shirt, right? So he was set to come out and confront this guy, and this guy was prepared. He had the gun. He was even repositioning the gun while he, the brother went back in the house to get his shirt, and he had it set in his mind that he was going to kill, right? You don't take a gun. First of all, you don't go kick on someone's door the way he did, where they thought he was going to kick it in, and then, have a gun with you. And this is why it's, when we have disputes and things like that, and, that's why the Most High says, be angry, but sin not, right? A lot of times we have firearms with us, and every situation that we have, like, say we get into a fight and we have a gun on us, it's a gun involved situation, right? Because if you get into a fight and you have a gun on you, you're going to be charged with having a gun on you, right? Because that gun is intimidation. So even if you don't use that gun, you have a gun on you, and it's a gun involved situation. So, like, when these guys go to certain situations, and you can see the woman, she comes out, and she definitely, I guess, was trying to calm it down or talking to him. But the man, this brother, this Jake, he went there to kill, and he wanted to really just, take the men out in this family, right? And possibly even the woman if she wouldn't have got back in the house. But I honestly, it goes to show you that you can't even be, that even a strong man, because you see the size difference, pause, of the man of the house. He worked out. This guy was shorter than him, and he just wanted to kill. And it's unfortunate that we don't have, we're in this day and age where it's such low value for life, and these curses extend outside of, these are, you could tell these are people just for the way that they interact with each other, right? This is the stuff that's happening in Haiti. This is the stuff that's happening, throughout this country, throughout the world, where it relates to, Israel in general, right? And this guy is possibly a Jake. How cold and callous he was. He actually didn't even take the stairs. He waited for the elevator to go downstairs while these two, this young son and father lay dead on the floor. That's how cold he was, and how such of a value, a lack of value for life for his own brother that he had. But I honestly, and I'll land on this. I don't think that it was anything that could have been done, even with the woman there, that would have prevented this from happening, because the man wanted to defend his house. If somebody comes kicking on my door, and it's like a neighbor, I probably would have went out the same way. He did have, if you look at it, and I'm sure y'all brothers seen, he had a scissor in his hand. So he did come out with a scissor, and he was pointing it at the guy. Not saying that he should have been killed, but he came out with a scissor in his hand, and he was, in the guy's face with the scissor. So I don't know if the way he did it, when the guy turned around, he shot him after that, which was cowardly. But, I don't think it was anything that was going to really prevent this from, going down. I yield.
Yeah, and I hear you. I definitely agree that the man came to kill. I don't think that aspect would have changed. I just don't feel like he would have gotten the opportunity to, one, draw his weapon, and two, fire it. Because one, you did mention the guy, that bodybuilder was way bigger than him, pause. And then two, they were standing near the steps. Just realistically, if he tried to go for his weapon in that situation, I see him falling down the steps, falling down the steps. But, I don't know. I just, it's a tragic situation. You don't want to see any of our people lose their lives. But, yeah, no, this was a pure display of the curses. But I yield.
Yeah, I agree with you, King. I honestly, it could have went, multiple ways. It's just really unfortunate, man. And to see a father and a son, how homes is so broken up already. He basically killed off the future of this family. So, like the woman said, she lost her entire family, and this is the, you know, in spite of what we've seen when we out fighting the enemies of these other nations, this is the sad, pitfalls that we have amongst our nation, that you see these type of situations, that we have this type of hate for each other instead of the other people who hate us. But yeah, it's a crazy article, King.
Yeah, somebody else can hop in there. That was probably the only one I have for domestic at the moment. I'm still kind of looking.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to even follow that one up, man. That's a rough one there, man. But we have to, with everything that's going on, man, this is still, everything is for our learning, so if anything you could take from this, going forward, is that we have a little more patience with our people, and especially try to avoid situations, right? If it's a situation that you have to take a gun to, you probably just should rather not do it, deal with it, right? If you feel you got to take a gun to go kick in somebody's door, kick on somebody's door that's making noise upstairs, it'd be sense to, it'd be more, better to, probably just, see them out in the street and say something, or, you know, do a complaint through your, your management or something like that, instead of, you going yourself. Because there was another situation where two Jakes went to this other, this Edomite's door. And don't go to anybody's door, man. And people are shooting through the doors nowadays. So, this situation could even turn kind of crazy as well, because the brother had a scissor, and it'd be the other way around. If they start fighting, that other brother could have been stabbed with the scissors. So it's just unfortunate the times that we're in, man. We gotta use all these for our learning. But it was another situation that I know the brother Mike saw with this skater. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, I definitely seen that. Yeah, please bring that up. Yo, that was like a final destination type of, death.
Yeah, man. And, thankfully it did involve our people. You know what I'm saying? It ain't too many of our people that be really running around the hockey rink, you know? But yeah, it was crazy nonetheless, man. Let me pin it real quick. Very gory too, man. For some reason it's not. Let me see, it's not pinning here. Let me see something. They don't let you pin these outside articles. Hey, Shalom, Mikhail. Come on. All right, there we go. All right, so give me 1 second. Let me get it up on the main screen here. So it says here, yikes. All right, former NHL star Adam Johnson, 29, dead after freak accident during hockey game. It says Adam Johnson, an American hockey player who had a stint with the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL in 2019 and 2020, has died at the age of 29. The incident occurred during a game in England when his neck was cut by a skate blade, as confirmed by his team. At the time of the incident, Johnson was on the ice representing the Nottingham Panthers in a Challenge Cup match against the Sheffield Steelers. The apparent accident took place in the second period of the Elite Ice Hockey League game at Sheffield Utilia Arena. It says the Nottingham Panthers are truly devastated to announce that Adam Johnson has tragically passed away from a freak accident at the game in the Sheffield last night. The organization said in a statement, the Panthers would like to send their thoughts and condolences. Okay, I'm gonna skip past that. I don't know. It doesn't give any particular detail as to what happened, but I mean, I can only guess. Did the one that you pinned, did that have any like further details? They're not giving the exact details. I would think that somebody he caught a skate in the neck, because that's essentially what happened. Did yours say? Okay.
No, that's what happened. He caught a skate to the neck.
Yeah.
I think like somebody like kind of got checked, and then like he fell, and his like leg kind of went up, and it caught him in like the
neck. Yeah. That's essentially what I had got from it. And yeah, it was all over the ice and everything, man. It was a gory sight. You watch the video. But of course they given, it's definitely a crazy situation, but hey man, this is, Edomites do what Edomites do, man. I mean, this is the sport that they love to play. It ain't too many. Say again?
That's it, Salakia, that we invented.
Hey, bring that up.
Hey, man, and we excel at it.
It is what it is.
And we.
Go ahead, you got it.
No, I was just gonna say. I said we excel at it, right? We excel at all these sports, but mostly Edomites play this sport. I mean, you can't. There's no mistaking that.
I would agree, but if you look at the origins of we put that shit together.
I don't.
They turn it into a game and monetized it, but the onset of the origins of hockey was created by Jake, right? But I be that as it may, I just want to add two precepts to that story, if I may. Because, Deuteronomy 32 and 39 first, and then Isaiah 43 and 13, because that's crazy, though. To be on the field and to, lose your life like that is, definitely biblical. That's the Most High wanted that devil. For whatever reason, he's out of this world. That's definitely, intentional, right?
Kind. So yeah, I don't doubt that, this is something that, listen, every single thing under the sun we created, right? As far as like, pastimes and things that but this is something that black people don't love the cold in the most part. That's why these Edomites flock to this damn sport. We excel at every damn thing. And the way they love to fight in this sport, and these are savage cold dwellers. And that's why, the Most High is casting judgment on them every place that they are. And the way God,
he caught a fatality. This
God. And that's what you're seeing in all of the sports that they're having and all of their things, even what's that actor? What is it, Matthew Perry? He drowned in his damn jacuzzi, right? All of these, the judgment is coming to the heathen, right? And in a great way. So all of these things you're seeing is, it's not just us being struck down in this place. It's them as well, and they're enjoying it, right? He didn't die like the way we're dying in the communities. He died playing one of his favorite sports and enjoying himself, probably living his best life. And the Most High cut him down, right? So all praise to the Most High, man. No sympathy here. You got it.
Hey, I kind of want to land me back a quick story. Since Azrael talked about our people, creating and dominating this sport. Actually, when I was 11, I don't really tell this story too much, but I used to play for the Washington Capitals. Had like a little league team that they hosted in Baltimore, named like the Baltimore Stars. And I taught myself how to skate. And I wanted to play. So like I ended up trying out for the little rec team, and I made it. My first season playing, I ended up leading the entire league in scoring. There was a margin of 10 goals difference between me and whoever came second. And then they told me to try out for the travel team, and it was kind of racist because I tried for the travel team and end up not making it. And people like my backup made the team. Niggas that wasn't getting any burn on teams that we were killing ended up making the team. So our people definitely excel in sports like that, but there's a definite world of like kind of racism where you kind of
they're definitely gonna gatekeep anything that they love because they don't want us to get in there. The same way they did with golf before Tiger broke the barrier. The same way they did with tennis before the sisters broke the barrier, Serena and Venus, right? I'm not taking that away. I just wanted it to be noted that the origins of hockey was a Jake invention, right? Like I said, they made it a league, they made it a thing, they monetized it and put it out to the world as a product. But we created the sport, right? But yeah, just quickly, Deuteronomy 32 and 39, and then Isaiah 43 and 13. If you brought up, I could read them.
No, I can't. I just wanted to make a quick comment. You said Deuteronomy what, though?
32 and 39, Robert the Show.
All right. Real quick while I'm getting that. Wasn't it specifically Gad that invented hockey? It was like Gad.
Yes.
Canada?
Yes. Okay. It was definitely Northern Kingdom. In Canada, they came up with the idea for the sport and actually played it. You know, the wrong thing they did was they played it in front of devils that caught on to it, and they started to play, right? But yeah, absolutely right.
Con, you said Deuteronomy 32 and 29?
And 39, probably sure.
39, my fault. I heard 29. All right, Deuteronomy 32 and 39. It says, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
Right? And with something like this, like KB said, you got killed performing, playing your favorite game. And Esau doesn't have a conscience when it comes to life or death or things like of that nature, because these people jump out of moving planes and do the most ridiculous shit. Like life isn't anything, right? There's nothing to hold precious or sacred or to be valued. But I guarantee you, he didn't go on that ice thinking that this would be my last day, right? But real quick, just to close out the point, Isaiah 43 and 13, because something like this he definitely was marked, right? The Most High wanted you up out of here for a reason. But Isaiah 43 and 13, we can wrap it up.
It says, before the day was Salakia. Before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it?
Exactly. So if the Most High ordains it, who should say, oh, I'm not going to let that happen? Nobody. Nobody can say that shit, ever. So, unless the Most High is dealing with you and you plead, in situations like Moses and certain people like that. But we don't have much men in the world like that anymore, other than, the reincarnated or regenerated versions of those ancients or prophets. But there's not much people doing those kind of acts. But yeah, that's definitely gory to have an end like that. That was definitely an act of the Most High. And like KB says, bro, these people are going out. Most High is taking them out in droves and in peculiar ways. But
Yeah, and you know what's crazy, because like even with when I hear the stories of like sports that we created, and then you look back to basketball, and they have James Naismith, like, bro, that Edomite did not create basketball. That he took the credit from some slave that he had around, and basically patent the game. The least athletic person on the planet created one of the most televised or national pastimes in one of the most popular, if not the the most popular country in the world. That's a damn farce. So our people created every damn thing, every damn pastime, every damn thing on the planet. These people just take credit for it, and like you said, they monetize it. They make it, where we don't want to play it. They make it difficult for us to be able to, access it, but that's why they dying and doing it, man. So all praises to the Most High, man. And, very good precepts. Is that all y'all got in is domestic? Anybody else had anything in domestic?
oh no, I could definitely jump.
I know Azriel better have some domestic on them damn articles we saw back there. What you need, kid? what you need, Pen, kid? You there?
No, Salaki, I kind of missed the call, but I really have to take that. So you could go ahead and bring out your story, and I'll be back. Give me a sec.
Con. Go ahead, Mike. You had something?
No, I was gonna say, like, would it be okay with him if we take some of his for domestic? Because I don't really have it.
Yeah, we.
Of course, we would be.
All right, bet. Let me see what's back there real quick. Yeah, because I was like, I know we have, good amount for both.
Yeah, Azriel took all the domestic in the country, bro. That's why we couldn't find us.
If you see something, I'm still kind of looking through them. Okay. All right. Well, I can bring this one out. Let me pin it real quick. Crazy story. All right. So it says pedophile knocked out in courtroom by victim after judge sets child. Let me see. Opening it. Sets child rapist free. So, just like we brought out with the, other stories, not as, not as evil, but, with sports, they try to keep our people out of them. In this situation, they're just, not doing righteous judgment, It says, on Thursday, Richard Gross appeared in the Clark County District Courtroom for his sentencing on October 2nd. So this would have been earlier this month. Despite Gross pleading guilty to child rape, far-left judge Tierra Jones gave him a suspended sentence, allowing him to avoid jail time and stay out of custody. Taylor Fu, who was brutally and repeatedly raped by Gross from the ages of 8 to 15, played a key role in securing the perpetrator's conviction by testifying against him. After the judge's lenient sentencing on Gross, Fu felt that a knockout punch in the face was more fitting. It says Fu stood up from his chair and landed a powerful punch on Gross, causing the pervert to fall to the floor. He was promptly taken into custody and arrested on charges of misdemeanor battery. Oh, so he gets arrested, but not, wow. And I hope Azriel can clear this up when he gets here. I might have to look it up, but they said the judge's name is Tierra Jones, so I really hope that's not a sister in the picture. But
it is a sister, bro. That's her right there in the picture, bro. It is sad. It was a sister. Damn. Extremely left-wing ideology carrying sister. It goes by. But Salapia, go ahead.
No, I appreciate the clarity. It says Fu, who is now a loving father of 2 children, explained in an interview that he was angry that James essentially let Gross get away. I wonder if Fu in this situation, if that's a jig. It says, I was extremely angry. I know he's old, but that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the damage that he caused. It says, it just doesn't make sense how someone can abuse a child multiple times and just walk away without any prison time. He got away with a golden ticket for what he did, and what he's done to me should be punishable by even death. Hey, the scriptures say that's according to Torah. It says Fu later revealed that he decided to report his abuse to the police in 2019 after his wife shared a news article about sexual abuse. Following Fu's testimony, Gross faced indictment on 26 charges. So that's the end of the article. I'm not sure if the victim in this situation was a Jake, but it's clear that this sister let this Edomite off for nothing, and then when he punches and hurts this Edomite, then he's facing charges. So it's just the whole system is rigged and it's wicked. But brothers, if you have comments, feel free.
Yeah, the system is full of shit, bro, right? There's no way that he should have been allowed to leave that courtroom facing no penalties whatsoever. And the solid thing, even because I don't believe the brother that's a victim is a Jake. I could be wrong, but I don't think so, right? But nonetheless, the solid thing about this whole thing is that how our people are used as pawns in this campaign to normalize pedophilia, because she's not the only one, right? When the other sister became the AG and they sat her down and they did that debriefing with her. I can't remember her name, brothers. If you all remember, you all help me. The sister that she was supposed to be like the Supreme Court justice, I believe. And they sat her down, they did a disposition, and they asked her what was a woman, and she, she kind of danced around that question for almost 2 hours, and it still wasn't clear at the end of it. She didn't give a clear definition of what a woman was, right? So the sad thing is how they use our women, because it's mostly, well, I can't say it's mostly, but Black women are popular in the field of law, right? They gain heights as lawyers and judges and
Salaki King, you was said was it Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court Justice? That's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The water. That's exactly what her name is. Our people are used as pawns in these games, right? And this right here, to me personally, is just another notch in the normalization of pedophilia. Like that's what they're doing. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But y'all got it, I you.
Trying to watch the video real quick to see the nationality of the person that did it.
Yes, that's definitely wild, man. A lot of these, and it just shows that our people being in these positions, they're corrupted. To these type of positions, it doesn't serve us, good of our people being, on these, in the positions of, leadership, that they take after, the oppressors in a way. I think back to that judge that Meek Mill, that kept Meek Mill in jail, and just the way she spoke, saying that he deserved to to stay in jail. He don't deserve to be out on the street. And she was more worse, like in my lifetime, and just being in law enforcement, I've came up to mostly every single, I would say probably with the exception of one, Jake judges I came up with have been coons, have been worse than the oppressors, right? Because they feel that they need to, be worse. They need to be harder on us than the oppressor, right? So they want to prove something in that they show no favoritism to their people. So they're even worse on us than, Edomite or people of other nations when they commit criminal offenses. And that whatever position that they're in, they don't, they're not. It was something recent that it was a damn one of these shows that came out recently. It's a show called Justified, and you got to see how it was basically a show about a bounty hunter, so to speak, a marshal, and the corruption in this show. It was a town out of Detroit, but a black judge was one of the most corrupt judges there was, and he had basically information on everybody. And that when he was killed, that book was basically used to like basically blackmail everyone. So it just kind of showed when we get into these positions, and white men love us to be in these positions, but we don't do any better in these positions. It's just a corrupt system, and it don't benefit us being in these positions of power. But yeah, good article, King. I yield. Did you have?
If you want to bring up another one, you could go ahead, Mike. I think I have a selective one I want to bring up. So if you see anything about that you like, feel free.
Yeah, I'm still kind of looking for.
I could grab one real quick. Okay. So let me see what I had sent to the chat. Okay, I saw this one. Give me 1 second while I pin it. Okay. Oh, whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so the Biden administration, right, was you know, been at odds with basically Republican governors as a whole, but more specifically, um the governor Greg Abbott out of Texas, right? And this is relating to the border security, supposedly, right? And what essentially has been happening, right, is that this damn devil, right, that's in a wheelchair, Greg Abbott, right? He's been placing barbed wire around all of the basically passage points that people are, that come into the country, through the I think they call it the Rio Grande River or something like that. And it's a difficult crossing of this river as already, but him placing barbed wire in and around these points even make it even more difficult. People have died, got caught up in the barbed wire. They show video of a pregnant woman of Northern Kingdom getting caught up in there, and you know a child got caught up in there and killed. A lot of things been happening with this barbed wire, so it's basically inhumane that you would put barbed wire knowing these people are gonna cross and they get tangled in it, and they get cut up, and you die or drown. So you know Biden administration have been telling his you know unconfirmed, but they've been border security officers have been cutting the barbed wire, help letting people pass through the areas and pulling people out of the barbed wire, right? So that's the backstory on it. Okay. So it says here, federal judge grants Texas motion to stop the Biden administration from removing razor wire at the U.S.-Mexico border. It says on Monday, a federal judge issuing an order instructing Border Patrol agents not to obstruct or interfere with the razor wire installation in Texas at the frequently used crossing point for migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border. This ruling specifies that the razor wire may only be cut in case of medical emergencies to provide essential aid, right? So you're telling them, right, you already know that where you got to position that is going to put the people in peril, but you got to wait for them to be caught in it and then cut the wire, which it may already be too late, right? It says U.S. District Judge Ali, I think it's Aliyah Moses, in her temporary order, right? And this might be our people too, through the name like that. Might be one of our people. In her temporary order, granted federal agents the authority to cut the wire when it is necessary to administer emergency medical aid to migrants, some of whom sustain injuries from the wire while crossing the Rio Grande in their attempts to enter Texas. However, Judge Moses emphasized that the barriers should otherwise remain untouched as a legal proceeding concerning the barriers continued. It says the state had previously filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration asserting that the removal of the razor wire in Eagle Pass, where thousands of migrants crossed in late September, had outstripped federal processing capabilities and humanitarian support. Right. So that's the end of the article there. It's not, a lengthy article, but needless to say, you got to see the wickedness of these people, right? Because they already know that these points are highly traveled points for a lot of the migrants, and they already seen the what these things are doing, right? Is I think even I don't want to say it was like ABC had did a special on it, and you seen young mothers and little children get caught up in this damn thing. A father and son drowned because of the razor wire crossing, right? Because it's already difficult to cross this thing, and once they get to like a point of no return, the razor wires are there. So it's a hindrance. You could just pick them up on the other side, but of course these people, they don't care. So yeah, now they have to wait until someone is actually tangled up in it and then try to get to them and cut it, which, if anybody's familiar with like how this razor wire works, usually it's like some of the razor wire you see on prisons. These things cut, both ways. Once you're tangled in them, the things like rip skin, and like trying to cut it while a person is on it is very difficult, right? So yeah, man, it's just more of this wicked place. That's why these cities are being so overrun. They're trying to stop people with this, but it's crazy because they're doing this. Meanwhile, they're still busing people to the cities. So, they're scooping up who they want, and they're still putting them in the midst of these cities to try to appeal to their base. So yeah, man. Just want to bring this out. I can't wait until this place is destroyed.
Yeah, no, I've seen some pretty graphic pictures, unfortunately, of people trying to come up from the border. Women, children, kind of get caught in that barbed wire. Yeah, it's terrible, some of the stuff that it does to them. But you know, we know where we are. So I'm not surprised. It doesn't mean I'm not angry, but I'm definitely not surprised at this point.
Mm-hmm. I could grab one more, and then I guess if y'all have anything, y'all could, unless you got something.
No, I was gonna say, if Austria don't come back soon with all them articles, we just go put things at that.
Right. My man was lining them up, man. All right, so let me pin this next one and see where we go from there. Okay. All right. So saw this one here. Definitely a crazy one to say the least. Hopefully it pins. There we go. So it says, man found dead at amusement park was heavily armed with guns, explosive devices, cops say. It says Garfield County, Colorado, on the morning of October 28th. It says the Garfield County Sheriff's Office responded, Salakia, to, hold on one second here. Okay, I can't do it. I'll do it in a minute. Okay, Salakia. It says Garfield County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of a deceased male at the Glenwood Cavern Adventure Park. The deceased had been located prior to the park opening to the public and was not related to any of the rides or exhibits at the park. Based upon preliminary investigation, it appeared that the suspect illegally entered the park after hours when no employees or patrons were present. The investigation, which spanned the days of October 28th and 29th, involved a 22-year-old male from Carbondale area. From the Carbondale area, he was dressed in black colored and tactical clothing. Salakia. It says tactical clothing bearing patches and emblems that gave the appearance of being associated with law enforcement. The suspect had been heavily armed with a semi-automatic rifle and semi-automatic handgun and multiple loaded magazines for both weapons. He was wearing body armor and what appeared to be a ballistic helmet. Additionally, multiple Slovakia, improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were discovered with the suspect in a vehicle associated with the suspect. Okay. It says At the request of the Garfield County Sheriff's Office, the Grand Junction Bomb Squad responded to the scene with their expertise and were able to render the device safe. It says Glenwood Adventure Caverns property was then swept by members of the bomb squad, as well as operators from the Garfield County All Hazard Response Team, to ensure no other IEDs have been planted around the park or rides. Our investigation has so far indicated that nobody in the park was at risk. It would appear that the suspect's actions were limited to the property of the Glenwood Caverns. The initial 2 days of the investigation have been carried out in a slow, methodical manner in order to search the property as well as the suspect's residence to ensure the safety of the public and to begin uh, determine the extent of his criminal activity. The safety of the public, bomb disposal, law enforcement, and other first responders was a priority, as well as making sure the cavern was safe to reopen. Right. So that's the end of the article there. But hey, man, you know, I, I'm not. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this was the Edomite that probably caught some judgment trying to, you know, and I don't know the demographics of this park. I haven't ever heard of it, but this, I don't know. It sounds like probably in the Edomite area, man, and this guy caught judgment. So I don't know. This probably could have been another damn attack like that other Edomite up in Maine, man. But it just goes to show you that this is their kingdom, man, and they're still not happy with each other, right? They're still, all of the wickedness and evilness and debauchery and self-hate, hating of the Most High is being returned back on their heads, and they're doing well, right? I mean, they've been able to enjoy this kingdom to their, and enjoy of the spoils, but yet they're still unhappy with it. They still want to destroy it. They're made that way.
Salaki.
Go ahead, Kay.
Yeah, it wasn't an Edomite. It was actually a Hispanic. His name was Diego Barajas Medina. That's the person. This was in Colorado, correct?
Con.
Yeah, his name was Diego Barajas Medina. He was 22 years old. I was reading an article that kind of talked about a little bit about him. They don't really have too much details about him yet, but they put his identity. At least that's what they're saying right now. I don't ever try to go against it being an Edomite, especially in these situations. But that's just the identity that I saw on Newsweek given for this situation.
Con. And hey, I could be corrected, but a lot of these people, some of them ain't even our people. We don't know. We don't know if if they are people or not. But needless to say, it's still because going back to it was remember the what was it, the Texas mall shooter, that was a so-called Hispanic as well. But he he wanted to be a neo-Nazi. That was the ideology that he had with them, right? But still, to say it's this kingdom, man. This kingdom has to go. Our people, is we don't strap bombs to ourselves and take tactical gear to go blow up a park, right? That's the ideology of Edom. That's what Edom does. Our people, we settle disputes like we first story that we brought out, right? That's how that hatred of our brother, we take a gun to the house or we shoot a bunch of random people that, it's that hatred amongst one another. We don't take it to the enemy, which is unfortunate, and we don't have that spirit on us yet. But this is what Edom does. This is an Edom tactic. So, possibly our people, who knows? But he had the mentality of, I'm gonna go blow up a whole bunch of damn people, and the Most High, I guess, said it wasn't so, right? Because he was found with the damn stuff, and and another thing that I may throw out there, when these things may be foiled, let's not be ignorant of Satan and his devices, right? Because Satan wants some wins as well, right? Because when they foil these things or they find these things, you know, him dead or whatever with all these devices, and they look, you know, remember how they said in the article that they methodically, they love to get good press, that they stopped something or whatever, or they've done these things. So, you know, we want to, you know, view these things with a cautionary eye as well. When we see these things, you know, I know Brother Azriel is quick for the false flags and the psyops and things like that. So, you know, we don't want to, you know, just be, you know, ignorant of Satan and his devices. But hey, man, we pray that Edom continues as Edom does, man. They, you know, taking each other out, going after them. We want to see more of that, those Maine, you know, the damage that was done in Maine. We want to see that. You know, give us more. That I yield.
Come. And, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned, you know, that false flag part, right? Because I have a piece directly pertaining to, you know, just that, right? Where is it? No, but Mike, if you had something cool, I wanted to bring this out. Actually, I'm gonna pull my false flag piece and just bring. False flag piece, right? This one is going into a recall. People calling for a recall of the FDA sponsored Pfizer vaccine, right? So I have to throw in bits and pieces of COVID every now and again when they come up. Can't leave those just in the wind, right? I gotta bring it up. But give me a second for this to load up. I'm having internet issues today for some reason. Bear with me. Yeah, so Mike, because I don't have the patience to wait on that. Could you read this?
Yeah, I got you.
Or
Anytime, King. F. Ooh, hold on. Yeah, it's one of those epoch times, so I'm getting a paywall.
I could read it. I got it open. Pause. So I can read it. All right. So it says here, FDA responds after being urged to recall Pfizer's vaccine over DNA fragments. It says the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is refusing to recall Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine, promoting the view that the inclusion of a previous undisclosed DNA sequence that leaves behind fragments is not of concern. The FDA is not required to take Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine or other COVID-19 shots off the market, an agency spokeswoman told the Epoch News via email. With over 1 billion doses of the mRNA vaccine administered, no safety concerns related to the sequence of or amount of residual DNA have been identified. With regard to the FDA-approved mRNA vaccines, available scientific evidence supports the conclusion that they are safe and effective, the spokeswoman added. The Epoch News, or the Epoch News, it's like the Epoch Times, have submitted a Freedom of Information Act query to try to unlock when the FDA learned about the sequence and from whom the FDA denied expedited process for the request, claiming there is not a compelling need to quickly provide the information. Several foreign agencies, including Health Canada, have confirmed outside scientists' assessment that the vaccine contains DNA sequence. They've also said Pfizer did not highlight the inclusion in regulatory filings. The FDA would not answer a number of questions about the sequence, including when the agency learned about its inclusion and whether it learned about it from Pfizer. Says Pfizer and its partner biotech have not responded to inquiries. The inclusion was first identified by Kevin McKernan, a former researcher and team leader for Massachusetts Institute of Technology Human Genome Project, noting nothing will be identified if they continue to choose not to look, Mr. Kernan told the Epoch Times. A number of scientists have said the inclusion raises major concerns, such as having potential for on or congenesis, I guess, or a process that leads to cancer. It says, including Dr. Robert Malone, a vaccine expert whose work has been cited by Pfizer. The inclusion means the Pfizer shot is adulterated and should be recalled. Dr. Malone told the Epoch Times. Federal law states that the FDA can test drugs suspected of being adulterated. It says if the drug fails to meet certain standards and a health hazard is found, the FDA is directed to advise the manufacturer to issue a recall. If the manufacturer then fails to issue a recall, seizure should be considered, the law states. The general policy is that if there's adulteration, Slovakia, and reasonable risk of toxicity, there must be immediate action, Dr. Malone told the Epoch Times. This is a core mandate to the FDA from Congress to prevent adulteration of drugs, medical devices, and food. And then the next question is that adulteration? Is that adulteration? Is it associated with a reasonable risk of toxicity in humans? And my opinion is absolutely. Dr. Malone, after reviewing the FDA's response, said that regulators have not done their job. The normal process worldwide has been that the risks that that risks must be assessed proactively, but they haven't done it. And their rationale for not doing it is the reason why we're so adamant that this is not a gene therapy technology, Dr. Malone said. Moderna has said that its vaccine meets the FDA gene therapy definition, but regulators have defined the Pfizer and Moderna product as vaccines, avoiding questions about oncogenesis. Let me see. It's a little bit left, so I'm gonna try to get to most of it. All right, it says here SV40 sequences have been used by biotechnology companies in drug products. Specific sequences for the non-infection parts of SV40 are commonly present in plasmids used for manufacturing of biological active substances. The European Medicines Agency, EMA, told the Epoch Times via email. The purpose is primarily to drive very aggressive expression of the gene, Mr. Kernan stated. EMA alleged that Pfizer considered the sequence a non-functional part of the plasmid. If commonly used, then why are they included if they serve no function? Dr. Malone wondered in a Substack post. Yeah. It's a bit more. Did you want more of this, Azriel, or you got what you needed?
Wrap it up. Yeah, we good on that if you want to close it up. It's fine. But yeah, just another nail in the coffin on this whole COVID thing, especially when it comes to the vaccine, the poison shot, right? I don't know how much more evidence people need, right? We've been providing evidence for a long allow patients to see their records, right? To see change in blood and means an element or a component that is likely to cause cancer, right? Things like ammonia and things like that, lead paints. Pfizer vaccine, after you administrated it to billions of people, would be a legal shitstorm for one, right? That they don't want to deal with, even though they don't have to deal with those things because they're exempted from lawsuits. But the international shitstorm that would bring, seeing that they sold this vaccine to nations and it wasn't just administered only in the US, but all over the world, Pfizer doesn't want to go down that road whatsoever. So they're not going to even entertain that idea. They would much rather keep the poison being pushed and claim it to be safe and effective, right? But at this point, anybody who goes to get the vaccine, most high not be with you because you had enough warnings. You should have the wisdom to see exactly what's going on. The information was brought out on multiple occasions over a long span of time, right? But yeah, your brother's got it. I think that's going to be it for me for domestic right now. So we can make the transition if you all want to. Right.
Okay, KB, did you have one more for domestic?
No, I have no more for domestic. I did have one going into international though. If I could, um, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
it's gonna be brief. Um, let me pin it so I can. Right. So, of course, we're getting tomorrow will be the November 1st. I think the brother Mike had talked about November 7th being the deadline that they had to make a new budget. Right. They already picked the House Speaker, right? Which he's already come out to say that he's not ready. He's not supporting he don't really want to send no money to Ukraine, right? But he does want to send money to Israel, right? And it's getting kind of sticky there for us, So let me pin this right here. So it says here, um, Israel needs more urgent than Ukraine's U.S. House Speaker. It says President Joe Biden latest request for funding funding Ukraine aid will be put on the back burner as U.S. lawmakers vote this week on a more pressing priority of helping to defend Israel in its war with Hamas. Newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson has divulged. We're going to move a standalone Israel funding bill this week in the House, Johnson said on Sunday in a Fox News interview. I know our colleagues, our Republican colleagues in the Senate, have a similar measure. He gave no indication of when the House might take up the latest proposed round of funding for Ukraine. Biden has called for funding aid to both emergency funding bills rather than allowing lawmakers to vote on other issues. Salakia, I read that wrong. Um, Biden has called for funding aid to both Ukraine and Israel into a $106 billion emergency funding bill rather than allowing lawmakers to vote on issues separately. His administration unveiled a plan earlier this month to provide an additional $61.4 billion fund to fund Ukraine's conflict with Russia, $14.3 billion for Israel, and $9.2 billion for humanitarian aid in both countries. Congress previously approved $113 billion in Ukraine aid in 4 rounds of legislation, but Republican opposition to further funding to Ukraine has increased. Most House lawmakers in the majority party now oppose sending more aid to Ukraine. The strife over the issue among Republicans contributed to the ouster earlier this month of Johnson's predecessor, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Johnson predicted that the standalone Israel bill will win strong bipartisan support in both House and a Senate. My intention is not to use this for any partisan political gamesmanship, he said. This is a very serious matter. The new speaker, who has been a skeptic on aid of Kiev, argued to in the Fox interview aired on Thursday that Joe Biden administration has approved a roadmap for what it expects to achieve with the massive aid to Ukraine and how it plans to end the conflict. On the other hand, he has no such reservations about backing Israel. We believe that a pressing and urgent need, Johnson said in Sunday's interview, there is a lot of things going on around the world that we have to address, and we will. But right now, what's happening in Israel takes the immediate attention. And I think we have got to separate that and get it through. Johnson, who spoke on Saturday at the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit in Las Vegas, said he heard firsthand reports of the events on Hamas atrocities against Israel, and this is a priority for our country, and we cannot allow the brutality and the just unspeakable evil that's happening against Israel right now to continue. He said, yada 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 yada. All right, so that's the end of the article there. But yeah, man, it really puts you know, the Biden administration kind of in a kind of in the press, right? Because you know, they need this, right? Everything has been focused on Israel right now, but what happens with the Ukrainian war? They already said that they're running out of ammunition. Their so-called counteroffensive is lagging behind. Um, you know, all these things happen. Russia is continuing their march, to steamroll Kiev, and once Kiev falls, that war is over. It's nothing else that they can take a stand from, right? That's their, so-called quote unquote Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. That's their main city that they're protecting left, right? So once that happens, if no aid is, there, what else can they do? Right. And I honestly don't know what else weapons they can send over there. They don't send everything. Right. Right now, they are currently training pilots to fly the F-16s, which I don't think is going to do them any good. But that's what's being used with the what's left of the funding that was for the last round of aid. But they need to continue to use this for whatever reason, right? This, but get more weapons to end up in Russian hands, or in Hamas hands, So y'all brothers got it, man. That's the one I really had. It is one to follow up. I don't know if Mike had it about Zelensky, because
I have one that Putin said I wanted to kind of follow up with, but
okay, I'll follow you. I follow you up with the Putin one with Zelensky. You got it.
I kind of wanted to land me back this one with a speech that Putin gave. One good article. I've kind of said it multiple times that this new Speaker of the House has direct ties to Israel. That's why, I even mentioned it to Jake. We were in a private room, Jake and Azrael. We were in a private room like 2 nights ago. This person took a trip to Israel about 2 years ago and, met with a lot of their far right political side. So, he's deeply entrenched in Zionism. So any moves that he does to support Israel will not surprise me. But I kind of wanted to land me back this with the United States is the root of all evil, and kind of connected the proxy wars that are going on with Ukraine, as well as the situation with Hamas and Israel. He said the U.S. is behind all of it. So definitely wanted to just bring this article out just real quick. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has harsh words for the United States while speaking out about the recent anti-Semitic riot at an airport in Dagestan, a largely Muslim republic located in southern Russia. It says Putin addressed the riot during a press conference at his Nova Agaryova residence on Monday, claiming that it was caused by social media activity orchestrated by Western intelligence agencies and Ukraine, which has been fighting a war against Russia since Putin's forces invaded on February 24th, 2022. The Russian president called the U.S. scum for allegedly helping Ukraine and inspiring the attack through special services. Before denouncing Washington's global dictatorship, he then compared the U.S. to a spider that is the root of all evil. One thing I do find interesting about this, there was a lot of media instantly trying to, blame Putin for this attack on, Amalek at an airport out in Russia. But he came out very quickly and said that this actually was, orchestrated by, Western intelligence, agencies. So definitely, there's more to this story than, meets the eye at the moment. So, we're going to have to kind of wait and see. But I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. was behind it to try to frame, Putin and, Russia as a whole as, anti-Semitic, quote unquote. But it says, we need to know and understand where the root of evil is, where this very spider who is trying to envelop the entire planet and the whole world with his web and wants to achieve our strategic defeat on the battlefield. uses the people he has fooled for decades on the territory of today's Ukraine, Putin said, according to Russian state news agency TASS. Putin said that the U.S. was responsible for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, arguing that the country and its allies were the main beneficiaries of the instability in the region. It says those behind the conflict in the Middle East, this is a quote, those behind the conflict in the Middle East and other regional crises will use their destructive consequences in order to sow hatred, pitting people against each other around the world. He said, this is a true selfish goal of such geopolitical puppet masters. So, that's the end of the article, but, just found it very interesting, these statements that Putin made yesterday. I would agree that a lot of it is true. The U.S. is the root of all evil, scripturally. At this point, that kind of goes into, that line that made the nations drunk when it talks about Babylon the Great. So definitely would agree with his statements. But, brothers, if you have any comments, feel free.
Hey, Putin dropping them parables out there, bro. About the United States. I know United States up there like, yo, what is he talking about, man? He talking about you, man. Putin ain't sparing no words, man. Calling them scum, bro. Yo, that was a good article, King.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about it and why Russia hates him so much, because the only person that I could say world leader that was probably not shy on words just as much as Putin, or even more so, maybe two, right? Hugo Chavez from Venezuela, and what's the name of the guy that died in Cuba, who they tried to kill? I thought you were going to say Kim Jong-un. Yeah, well, Kim there, but he is not as frequent as these brothers, bro.
You're talking about Fidel Castro.
There you go, Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez. I remember one time Hugo Chavez went up to speak at the UN, and he just stepped in there after Bush left. And he said, bro, you could still smell the remnant of this devil. And the king of Spain stood up in the UN and told him to sit down or to be quiet, right? So he was, that was our Northern Kingdom brother. He was ruthless against the U.S., bro. Anytime he got a chance, he would say what was on his mind as it relates to them. And, Putin is the same way. But definitely a good article.
And I just want to make this comment before KB brings out the one about Zelensky. China's defense minister came out recently and, pointed out that the U.S. has, always been war hungry. He pointed out the history of the United States being 240 years old, and the fact that they've only been not involved in an active war for 16 years. So, but all these nations know who it is. You know what I'm saying?
And see, those kind of facts can't be disputed, because he's absolutely right. You've been a republic for as long as you have, and you only had peace for 16 years. Well, if that doesn't scream warmonger, I don't know what does. But
Yeah. Some of the new people, like, Gaddafi, he used to talk bad about the United States. I know some of the new people, that's Maduro. He doesn't talk pleasant about the United States as well.
That guy is coming up too. What's the name of the Jake? I don't know if he's a Jake or not. He may be him. I'm not sure.
Oh, coming out Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso.
There you go.
Yeah,
he's coming up too, bro.
Yeah, bro. He can't stand the United States or France, bro.
Yeah, definitely ranking, bro.
He talks. he talks about the United States as like somebody that's going to see them and punch them in the face. That's the way he talks about the United States. It's like somebody just loathe. But yeah, I pinned this article up there, man, and we definitely thought, brothers talked about this coming to fruition, right? And it seemed like it's it's beautiful when you see these headlines because you know that it's true. These are some of the stories that we can definitely verify that these things is you know these things is prophesized to happen, and it's beautiful when you see them. So it says Zelensky feels betrayed by the West. It says Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky feels betrayed by Western backers who have denied him the support and attention he has grown used to. His aides told Time magazine, according to the report published on Monday, the president's circle now see him as delusional and the conflict with Russia as impossible to win. Zelensky and his advisors spoke to the U.S. magazine after Ukrainian president visited Washington last month, unlike his hero's welcome he received last December. The most recent visit saw Zelensky grilled about corruption in Ukraine and forbidden from addressing lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Despite U.S. President Joe Biden pledge to has failed to agree on a new aid bill for Ukraine. 10 days after Zelensky returned to Kiev from Washington, lawmakers managed to pass a spending bill to avert the government shutdown, but only after stripping $6 billion in Ukraine funding from it. Slovakia. It says Zelensky feels betrayed by his Western allies. They have left him without means to win a war, only the means to survive it, Time wrote, citing a member of his team. The scariest thing is that part of the world got used to the war in Ukraine, Zelensky said. Exhaustion with the war rolls along like a wave. You see it in the United States, in Europe, and we see that as soon as they start to get a little tired, it becomes like a show to them. I can't watch this rerun for the 10th time. Zelensky told Time that he still believes that his forces can defeat Russia on the battlefield and that he will not entertain any negotiations with Moscow, despite Ukraine's summer counteroffensive failing to achieve its objective and resulting in what the magazine called enormous losses. According to the most recent Russian figures, the Ukrainian military lost more than 90,000 men between early June and the beginning of this month. He deludes himself, one of Zelensky's closest aides told Time. We're out of options. We're not winning, but try telling him that. My bad, Salakia. It says, it must be it must be difficult in this room with these guys, bro, sitting around. It must be really, really rough, you know. Must be a lot of sad faces. It says the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas war has drawn the attention of the West away from Kiev in recent weeks, with the Pentagon surging troops and weapons to the Middle East and U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson prioritizing a vote on military aid to the Jewish state instead of Ukraine. It's logical, Zelensky told Time, adding that while the world's help is needed in Israel, we lose out. So, hey, man, listen. I thoroughly enjoyed this article, right? Because I needed that laugh. Just to the fact that he said that, he still believes they can win the war, and his own advisor said he's delusional, right? It's just to the point that, when your own people around you, like, I don't know at any point they really believed that they could have won this thing. I someone would have to prove that they actually believe this, But U.S. is crafty in that way. They're wicked in that way, right? They're gonna fund them, into oblivion, where they know that these people were never gonna win against Russia. But the fact that he's like, they said that hey man, you can't tell him nothing, right? Because he's like caught up in the sauce, man. He's he got that great welcome last December when he addressed Congress, and they was like, yo, don't call us, we'll call you. And he even tried to go to Israel, and his own people told him not to show up. Like, who is this guy? He's not getting he's calling, no phones is answering, they just ringing. It's really bad, man. But he said one thing, right? That he said that they're not able to win, only survive. And I think by the way of doing that is, of course, him, probably going in exile after, Kiev falls. And you know, that's usually how these things play out, right? That he's going to go in exile some way, and it's going to be, whatever's left of Ukraine is going to be, basically taken into Russia, and
Salakia, just real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't think that's how it's going to play out, just due to the fact that his own advisors are telling him that it's hopeless at this point. I think they're going to get to a point where it's like, look, we're going to continue to lose land. We're going to continue to lose land. Either the U.S. is going to have to assassinate this motherfucker, or we're going to have to get him, out of here real quick. So I think that's what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. I mean, him, they're gonna get him out of there. He's gonna go into exile because Kiev is gonna fall, right? No doubt about it. There's gonna fall. Like him, like thinking that surviving is not him being in Kiev, right? So either he's gonna be killed, which I don't think so. I think they'll get him out way before. He's probably not even in. I have a disbelief that he's not even in Ukraine anymore. I don't think that this guy.
A second emotion.
Yeah, I don't believe that he ever goes back to Ukraine, or he's in there at any point. I don't think he's there, but I believe that they usually gonna keep this actor, right, somewhere alive. He's gonna be moved out in exile on some beach somewhere, But whatever the case is, Russia's gonna claim back this land that's theirs. I don't know if they're gonna keep it as that Ukraine or whatever, or they'll keep it a part of Russia, whatever. But needless to say, it's the writing has been on the walls, and prophecy is going to, the people of this land is going to go back to that that prophecy, Jeremiah 51, right, where these people are going to they're going to see that Russia is the place to back, and they're going to be angry against the West, and they're going to turn against the West, and that's what this is eventually turned into. So all praises to the Most High. It's a very sad state of affairs, but this is what the U.S. does to all of these nations. But y'all brothers got it.
And I just want to jump in there and say that if articles like this are being released, we sourced it from RT, Russia Today, but this was written by Times, right? And the piece that I'm going to follow up with this is written by Times as well. I think it's an excerpt of the same article, or maybe a different article or a different write-up, but along the same lines, right? But I just wanted to say this shows proof positive that the U.S. has given up on Ukraine, right? They have given up completely on Ukraine, because 3 months ago, 4 months ago, this would not be allowed to be in the time, right? I guarantee you the Pentagon would have reached out and said, pull that back. The propaganda machine was well oiled, and it was going, right? But it couldn't hold up against the truth. The facts that were coming out of Russia were just too strong, right? There's no way that you can continue to say that Ukraine has a chance in this war when city after city was taken, encroachment after encroachment happened. You had a failed offensive that you promoted like a WWF fight, right? Like a Royal Rumble. And the shit didn't pan out. It was a failure. 90,000 people dead. And I'm sure that's men and women, right? When you have conscript going up to age 70 for a war, that's not a nation that's winning a war, right? not a nation that's winning a war. When you have females being able to be drafted at 17, that is not a country that's winning a war. That's a country in desperation. And there's no way that you could have those factual information out there and America still speak in a propagandist way and try to twist the narrative. It was impossible to do. So the best thing, this thing happened with Israel and Hamas or whatever. Now we divert attention and now we can say, okay, we had to leave that situation and help Israel, right? That's going to be the saving grace of these nations in the West from the billions of dollars pumped into it. But let's face it, the Lockheed Martins, all of these corporate military contractors, they got their stocks rise, and the congressmen that have $150 million net worths and up, like Nancy Pelosi, Lindsey Graham, and the rest of these devils, they got their pockets greased. And that's it. They could give a shit about Ukraine at this point. This is why you have Time magazine coming out and being able to say what they're saying without being interrupted, or the Pentagon not jumping in, the White House not jumping in. It was a failed operation, right? And to save themselves the embarrassment, they're now switching the narrative to Israel, right? But
let me say something real quick. Just real quick, one correction. That 90,000, that was the counteroffensive numbers. So that was from June to now. So that's a failed counteroffensive.
That's the counteroffensive numbers.
Yeah.
Damn. It's a water for the correction, but that makes it even worse. Just your counteroffensive numbers, almost 100,000 people dead, bruh. So it's safe to say that they probably lost a half a Oh yeah, you worse than I thought, Kim. Maybe try leaving the room and coming back in. Oh, okay, come on. All right, so quick rundown. I think this is going to mirror a lot of what KB had to say in his last article on the same thing, right? So, yeah, I have it. It reads, aides believe Zelensky is delusional, right? The Ukrainian leader is now reportedly looking for scapegoats after his failed counteroffensive, the magazine reports. Top officials in Kiev believe that the increasingly messianic president Vladimir Zelensky has become delusional. Time magazine reported on Monday. The Western-backed leader is expected to launch a major shakeup of the country's military and political leadership. The U.S. publication added, citing his aides, the looming reshuffle is intended to demonstrate accountability for the lack of progress in the stalled counteroffensive against Russia, as well as deal with the apparently growing opposition to Zelensky's desire to continue the hostilities no matter what. Zelensky remains adamant in his desire to defeat Russia on the battlefield, but his stubbornness has become borderline messianic. One of the president's advisors said, on the condition of anonymity, meaning he didn't want himself to be revealed by even saying that, he deludes himself. We're out of options. We're not winning. but try to, so it's basically the same thing, but try telling him that. The reality on the ground, however, is very different from Zelensky's vision of scoring and apparently growing, and ultimately victory over Moscow. And dissent is apparently growing, Salakia. According to one of his aides, some frontline commanders have begun refusing orders to advance, even when they came directly from the office of the president. They, the military, just want to sit in the trenches and hold the line, but we can't win a war that way, the aide said, admitting the troops were not actually moving forward. In addition, the country is not doing very well. Prepared for the upcoming winter, the aide suggests adding that pinning failing infrastructure and other hardships exclusively on Russia might not work this time. Last year, people blamed the Russians. One of them said, this time, they'll blame us for not doing enough to prepare. To fix the situation, Zelensky is expected to launch a major reshuffle of his team shortly, with the shakeup affecting both military and civilian leadership. And it says, in quote, at least one minister would need to be fired, along with a senior general in charge of the counteroffensive, the article suggests, citing the aides who do not provide the exact names of the potential scapegoats. The move is primarily meant to create accountability, quote unquote, for a lack of progress on the front line, they said. It goes into, I think KB mentioned this, but I'll read it anyway just to close it out. Kiev launched its counteroffensive against Russian forces early in June, but it has so far neglected to achieve any tangible results. In September, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the counteroffensive had effectively failed, resulting in minor gains and heavy losses for the Ukrainian military, according to Moscow's estimates. The push cost Kiev more than 90,000 troops. KB was right, the water, as well as hundreds of military hardware, including an assorted Western supplied tanks and armored vehicles. All right, so that's the end of it. And I think the only thing that this article added that I didn't believe I heard in KB's piece was what's going on the ground in Ukraine right now, right? And how they're doing badly and winter is approaching. Winter is coming. When people were hard in zeal in the beginning, it was easy to, point everything at Putin and it's Russia's fault. But almost a year in now, you're gonna be hard pressed to blame Putin for something you should have been preparing for, right?
Now, why?
But you're too busy talking about, the last drop of Ukrainian.
But if brothers don't mind, can I kind of go into some quick breaking news, just real quick, just dealing with the whole situation in Israel? If there's nothing else for like Ukraine or like Russia,
Bring it out. Bring it out.
and they don't. So, this is a very short article because it just got announced about 15 minutes ago. But Yemen has now officially declared war against Israel. Let me just read. It's only a paragraph, but it says, Yemen declared war against Israel Tuesday evening, shortly after the Houthi rebels in Yemen claimed responsibility for attacks launched against Israel from the country. So, that's the end of the article, but just some quick breaking news, and there's more, kind of nations kind of getting involved, like, Iran kind of getting more and more closer to declaring war. So, things are definitely heating up. Just wanted to kind of, bring that out.
Yeah, that's a big development, So now you're gonna see a lot more things coming out of Israel. I had an article in the back about America secretly expanding their base, right? Yeah, I think everybody knows my thoughts on this, right? I think this Israel thing is definitely going to be the catalyst into World War III. Even if it takes 4 years, 5 years to get there, this kickoff between Hamas and Israel, or more than likely Israel itself, right, to annex more so-called Palestinian land, because we know that the land doesn't belong to any of them. But be that as it may, the current knowledge of the world is that that's Palestinian land. So it's an encroachment. And I think in their desire to be greedy, they're definitely going to have issues moving forward with these other countries jumping in, especially these Muslim countries. But
Hey, we're going to get to it. I'm holding the article, but it's not going to be them, encroaching on some Palestinian land. They literally want all of that land. They want them completely the hell out of that place.
I believe you. And I mean, the campaign shows it, right? They're carpet bombing places, schools, mosques, infrastructure they're taking away. It shows, anybody with any half a brain could see that this is an annexation as opposed to a war, right?
Hey, just real quick. Go ahead, Mikhail.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like knocking out two birds with one stone. They're getting rid of the people and getting started on the mission.
I personally believe the Most High is taking up the trust for us, right? Letting them do what they got to do to clear themselves out, so eventually that the true people can get there. Right? This is just a vacuum sweep, and they're being used as the tools to do it. But you got to keep them.
Right, I agree, because none of them belong there, right? None of them are rightful, owners of that land. So, Most High could definitely be using, one to deal with the other, and then, while doing that, igniting someone that's going to take them out as well. Most High is masterful in, how he operates. But Yemen has been the one that has been setting it off for the last couple of days. They've been targeting all of the U.S. bases throughout, the Middle East, right? So that's where they've been saying that the most of the rockets have been being fired from. So yeah, man, all praises to the Most High, man. That's some great news, man. Breaking news. I hope it continues to heat up, man. Try to get these, because a lot of these nations is kind of slow walking it. You know what I'm saying? And we know once Iran really gets into the mix, all these other nations is kind of going to really kind of follow. But hopefully, it takes somebody to set it off, man. You know what I'm saying? So, Turkey has been heating up with the rhetoric. Iran has definitely been heating up with the rhetoric. Some of the other nations, I think even Egypt is kind of saying a few things, but this, hey, we want more of them to declare war, man. All praises to the Most High. But y'all got it.
I have one. I have like two others, but I did want to cover this just because this is something that happened an hour or so ago, dealing with Israel once again doing more bombings, and specifically targeting a refugee camp. And this time it's been reported that they gave them no warning to evacuate. They just bombed this refugee camp. So, mostly it's going to be women. But let's get into it. It says Israeli airstrikes on Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza kill more than 100 Palestinians. It says more than 100 Palestinians have been killed and 150 wounded in Israeli airstrikes on the Jabalia refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. It says Israel bombed the refugee camp with 6 shells, each one weighing a ton of explosives, according to Gaza's interior ministry. The combined toll of those killed and injured in the airstrikes has been updated to a total of 400. So, when it said 100 dead and 150 wounded, those numbers are still going up because, now they're saying that the total is 400. It says AFP video footage from the scene showed at least 47 bodies recovered from the rubble after the strike hit several houses in the camp. Dozens of onlookers could be seen standing on the edges of 2 vast craters as people search for survivors. The Israeli ministry did not immediately comment on the strikes when contacted by AFP. Earlier Tuesday, the health ministry said that 8,525 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since Israel launched its bombing campaign on October 7th. And I remember reading up, I kind of try to keep up on the numbers and stuff. Out of that, when I looked it up this morning, out of that 8,525 that's being reported, they say 6,000 of those at least are women and children. So, them trying to make this war against Hamas, or it's, they're doing that. No, it's a complete war against the Palestinians. And, I have an article I'll get to. I want to pass it to Barbara so they can bring those out, but I'll get to it in a minute. There's an article from, the Israeli Defense Ministry that's kind of leaked online that shows their plans to get, all of Palestine, out of there. So, but brothers, if you have any comments, feel free.
Great article. Before you bring out that article that you're holding on, I want you to bring out one for me. It's the very last one in the thing, but let me in the back chat. But let me just comment on this right quick, right? This isn't anything new. These so-called Israelis, the true Amalekites, they've been going in and kicking down Palestinian doors and taking over the homes. Sean King, I'm sure people are familiar with him. He's been posting, I don't know how this brother, if he is a brother, has not been banned off of social media yet, bro. The things he's posting on Instagram is the first time I've ever seen this kind of content on Instagram, right? Palestinian children with, bones sticking out their legs, entire stomach sticking out because their belly got torn from falling rubble and debris. But yeah, be that as it may, this isn't anything new. The so-called Israeli has been going into houses, kicking Palestinians out. Like, imagine you're home, you get a knock on the door. It's the Israeli government. You got some boots, some M16s, and they're there with a so-called Jewish family taking you out of your house and putting them in and telling you have to find somewhere to go. That's been going on for years, long before this war even started, right? So that's going to continue. Now that they have an excuse for war, there's not going to be no mercy. And the piece that Mike is about to bring out, if he does, Bobby,
oh yeah, I got it queued up.
Yeah, if he does, then you'll see what this devil Netanyahu is trying to do. He's actually trying to use Samuel, right? What my good forefather Saul was supposed to do at Amalek. He is claiming that he is fulfilling that, right? Utterly destroy every man, woman, and child from it, paraphrasing, right? And he just what they're doing right now in Palestine. But bro, like I said before, this is a clean sweep, and the Most High is using these people towards his end. They may think that they're doing something to expand Israel, and I want them to do it. You know, I hope they get it. Maybe they get all of them out of there, and we get the Nile to the Euphrates. If they get it for a while, that's fine. But ultimately, we know who's going to be back there, so it really doesn't matter. This is their time. You know, let them do the cleanup. But you'll see exactly what this devil is trying to do when Mike starts that article. But
yeah, no, I got it pinned up. Yeah, this is definitely going to lead into what you know, I wanted to kind of bring out with this document, because you know what they're trying to do now is kind of, you know, Zionists don't view prophecy in the lens that we view prophecy. What do I mean by that? You know, we understand prophecy from the lens that, you know, Christ is going to come back and, you know, establish us in the land of Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates. They set up a Balfour Declaration to, you know, get them back into the land. So they see it as, you know, it's on them to establish, you know, fulfillment, quote unquote, of prophecy. So, you know, what they're trying to do now is trying to, you know, quote unquote, fulfill end time prophecy. But, you know, this is a very good article. It says Netanyahu cites Amalek fury to justify Gaza killings. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu justified the killing of Gaza residents during the Israel-Hamas conflict by referencing the Amalek fury, which is based on a nation mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. You know, ironically, them. You know, and I just want to make this very quick point. They can't make statements like this, but then say that it's unintentional when they blow up a school and kill children and women. So, you know, I'm happy Israel, you know, brought, you know, this article out. But it says this theory has been used to support the military actions against Gaza and the ongoing conflict, which resulted in over 1,400 Israeli casualties and nearly 8,000. Well, you know, we went into the numbers updated now, 8,225 or something like that, casualties in Gaza. It says, you must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. 1 Samuel 15:3, now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, and slay both man and women, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass, Netanyahu said. You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. You know, so he repeated it multiple times. It says former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley also said, we saw God's goodness and the outpouring of support that descended on Israel from around the world. And while evil is trying to claw its way back, God's goodness is still clear and it will always be. This, you know, kind of make me nauseous reading this, but like it. The public reaction to the with one youth. And I'm happy the article is pointing this out. Some users pointed out the historical context of the creation of Israel and its association with religious beliefs, while expressing the tragic consequences of the conflict. Other users described the situation as awful and possibly driven by religious beliefs, while another raised questions about the terminology used, specifically whether referencing the Bible is common within the Jewish community as opposed to the Torah. It says the response on social media reflected a mix of criticism, historical context, and questions about terminology and religious references in the Prime Minister's statement. You know, so that's the end of the article. It's crazy that, you know, they're, you know, kind of pointing to the you know, Palestinians and talking about them being Amalek when, you know, those who study know who it is. But brothers, if you have any comments on this one, feel free.
Yes, Kim.
You're good, Kim.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are they saying that the Palestinians are Amalek, or were they just relaying that scripture? to relating it.
Judging from like the context in which he's using it, I would say he's calling them, Amalek.
But doesn't Palestine mean Philistine? Even though those aren't the real Philistines, but
Yeah.
The common person not gonna think about it like that. But all right, Connor.
And every one of their statements that they released, it goes to show you how these people, pervert the truth and seek to twist it, right? Because even when he made that statement the other day regarding, Isaiah, the second chapter, and who they are in it, about them winning the war, right? When it's not according to, it's not supposed to be no war once they're in the land. So if they was the true Jews, so this guy is always seeking to twist, scripture to suit their benefit, right? Even when he mentioned that, they're the children of the light and they're fighting against the children of the dark, everything that come out of this man's mouth, he's a devil from Brooklyn, man. This guy is from Brooklyn, New York. He raised in America, and he's from that article of what Putin calls scum, right? This guy is a scumbag, from America that, was, to, use his wickedness to stay in power in that land, right? And he has a, I know it's a lot of, brothers in his truth praying to put him in chains, right? He's high up there and on the list of devils that needs to go in chains. But good article. I yield.
Yeah, that kind of leads, I'm happy Israel brought that up because it leads perfectly into this document article about, what their plans are for the Palestinians in Gaza. And, it all shows that they're trying to establish, the vision that they are the people, in what they would call the messianic, age. But, we would refer to it as the end times. But this article in this intelligence ministry document has kind of leaked online, and it talks about them trying to expel all of the Palestinians from Gaza. And, it's from the Israeli government, so definitely kind of wanted to bring this out. It's going to show, I don't want to shoot off the hip. If I remember correctly, it's Isaiah 49, where it talks about like the land being too thin for the people, and the borders kind of having the stretch. This is what they're trying to fulfill in prophecy, right now with the Palestinians. But it says the Israeli Ministry of Intelligence is recommending the forcible and permanent transfer of the Gaza Strip's 2.2 million Palestinian residents to Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, according to an official document revealed in full for the first time. The 10-page document, dated October 13th, 2023, bears the logo of the Intelligence Ministry, a small governmental body that produces policy, research, and shares its proposals with intelligence agencies, the Army, and other ministries. It assesses 3 options regarding the future of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip in the framework of the current war, and recommends a full population transfer as its preferred course of action. It also calls on Israel to enlist international community in support of this endeavor. So, they're going to try to get the so-called international community to support them. Go ahead, Azrael. Azrael, you unmuted? Mute him real quick. I don't think you meant to do that. Or KB, can you, there we go, I got it. All right, so it says, all right, kind of lost my spot. So yeah, they're going to try to get the entire international community to support them, making this move. It says it also calls on Israel to, it says the existence of a document does not necessarily indicate that its recommendations are being considered by Israel's defense establishment. Despite its name, the intelligence ministry is not directly responsible for the entire intelligence body, but rather independently prepare studies and policy papers that are distributed to the Israeli government and security agencies for review. Let me see. It says, however, the fact that an Israeli government ministry has prepared such a detailed proposal amid a large-scale military offensive of the Gaza Strip reflects how the idea of forced population transfer is being raised to the level of official policy discussions. Fears of such plans, which would constitute a serious war crime under international law, have grown in recent weeks, especially after the Israeli army ordered about 1 million Palestinians to evacuate from the northern Gaza Strip, ahead of escalating bombardment and incremental ground incursions. The document recommends that Israel act to evacuate the civilian population to Sinai during the war, establish tent cities, and later more permanent cities in the northern Sinai that will absorb the expelled population, and then create a sterile zone of several kilometers within Egypt and prevent the return of the population to activities, residencies near the border with Israel. At the same time, the governments around the world, led by the United States, must be mobilized to implement the move. So they even know within this document, it talks about how the United States government will have to be used directly to help them make this happen. Let me see how much more I want to get on this. It says the document unequivocally and explicitly recommends transferring Palestinian civilians from Gaza as the desired outcome of the war. The existence of a plan was first reported last week in the Israeli business newspaper Kausalist. And the full text of the document is published and translated here. So it's a very long article because it does actually, have a link to the document, and it goes, very, very in depth with it. I would, recommend that anybody kind of save this and go ahead and read the entire thing. But just wanted to kind of bring this out, and there's one other article I have then I'll pass it to brothers. That deals with Egypt's kind of response to a lot of these rumors. But brothers, you got it.
Yeah, definitely good article. I actually had this one as well. Basically, we know that these people have planned to ethnic cleanse these people in the land grab. So, all these things is coming out, especially dealing with the plan that the information that the prime minister had prior to the attacks. So, it shows that he was going to use this attack as a prerequisite to to land grab and ethnic cleanse these people. They want the land for themselves. They don't want, no two-state solution. So, all these things are being made bare to show. And with everything that's being shown, the Most High is using this to incite all these other nations. So it's definitely a beautiful thing. Nothing in the dark. Everything in the dark eventually comes to the light. So, these things are happening. And usually it takes years for these things to come, but the Most High is moving things in such a rapid rate, so, all praise to the Most High. Very, very good article. I yield.
The last one I had, and, Salakia for being kind of long-winded today, I just kind of wanted to take it with international down like a line of thinking because, I kind of saw all these articles kind of, related to each other. But the last one I have, it's not long. It's just a statement from the Prime Minister of Egypt. Let me pin this. This came out about 20 to 30 minutes ago. Came out in a statement and said, Egypt is, ready to sacrifice millions of lives to defend their territory. So if the geopolitics when it comes to Egypt, they're not fond of the Muslim Brotherhood. So, they wouldn't want a lot of these people, related to Hamas kind of, evacuated into their land. You know, they were willing to give, you know, aid to these people, but they don't want them to be permanent residents of Egypt. So let me just read this statement. It's really short. It says, in a resolute statement from Sinai, Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli affirmed the nation's unwavering commitment to protecting its land and sovereignty. He declared, we are prepared to sacrifice millions of lives to ensure that no one encroaches upon our territory. The Prime Minister reaffirmed that Egypt will never allow any imposed situation or settlement on regional issues at its own expense. So, you know, pretty much that's tied in with what they were talking about, setting up tent cities and, you know, areas for these, you know, Hamas and other Palestinians to, you know, go once this war is over. They were going to do so in Egypt. You know, it's crazy to have, you know, the pride to say, you know, we're going to expel these people from, you know, land we don't truly even own. And we're going to place them in somebody else's land, and they're just going to have to accept it. So this puts Israel and Egypt now at odds. We're going to have to see if any escalation, you know, happens over the next couple of days and weeks just due to so. But that was my last article. You know, brothers, if you have anything, feel free.
Yeah, man, you know, brings them, you know, Egypt, and Egypt has not been, you know, they've been basically an ally of, you know, the United States, as well as they've been kind of friendly as it relates with anybody that is connected with the United States, Israel. But over the last 2 weeks that this conflict has been going, they have repeatedly have been, you know, according to Israel military, mistakenly fired into Egypt's territory. And remember, they closed the border because they didn't want, you know, the Israel was bombing the border, and they didn't want to take no part in the fight. But they did recently open up their border to those that was injured and for aid to get through. So, you know, this creates a crisis that's going to be on them as well. So, I mean, listen, you can only stand on the sidelines for so long. I see all of these nations that, you know, have been friendly with the United States kind of being dragged into this, and the United States know it. You know, of course, they have no choice but to stand with Israel, but, you know, to their own detriment, right? Because everybody that seems to be, you know, want this thing to go down, or to, you know, have, you know, it to be some type of ceasefire implemented. Israel and the United States Israel is not doing a ceasefire, and the United States can't do it because, or can't call for one, because Israel does not want a ceasefire, and they're trying to appease Israel, right, and trying not to look weak. So, you know, with that, with, you know, the unfortunate of that is that everyone has to eventually be drawn into this, right? Because it's only so much that they cannot say and turn a blind eye to, as to where the Muslim community or the Israelite community is dragged into this. You see that Yemen declared war, and soon these other bigger nations is going to have to take a stand as well. You've seen what happened over the weekend in Turkey, right? You see what's going on with the president of Iran, as well as the attacks that the United States is sending towards Syria, and Russia is friendly with a lot of these nations, right? I seen something online, you know, just in relation to this, right? Um, Let me see. Give me 1 second while I bring it up, because I just kind of somebody I gave it like an estimation as to. Damn, I don't think I got it no more. But it was essentially kind of going into just, you know, how it would be like, you know, if like with Yemen being called into it. And let me see if I can find it real quick. Salakia. And if brothers got anything, they could bring it out while I grab this this thing.
Con, I did have an update. I just got reported about 5 minutes ago. Israel's been kind of, pump faking and, starts their ground invasion, pulls back, pulls back. But today during their ground invasion, they said, 20 to 30 Israeli, IDF soldiers were killed and, more were wounded. They've kind of been, surprise attack, basically they, entered Gaza. So definitely, what we've, been kind of expecting to happen, but just wanted to kind of bring that out in passing.
Kind. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find this. I probably have to save it for tomorrow. But it was essentially going into, what happens by Yemen declaring war. And it basically showed that Yemen is, of course, friendly with Iran. It showed that it was another aspect to it. Dang, I wish I could find that. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, you're good. Let me see if I can find an article on it. I just seen a report that Egypt's moving stationing armored vehicles and tanks to the Rafah border. That's their border with Gaza Strip. So we might see them kind of now playing a role because they have to protect their territory. Their prime minister said so. In a statement earlier today. So now we're seeing kind of movement towards them, doing so. So. It'll be interesting to see what happens at this point. But, it seems like there's a lot of movement, going on today. But if you don't have it, we can, it depends. If you find it, we can bring it out. If not, we can, kind of hold that one for tomorrow. Because I'm sure it's going to be a lot of developments today.
Yeah, we definitely, I'll definitely save it, man. It's going to be a lot of information and, should something, come down the wire, we'll probably open up a room, just to keep everybody updated. But, hey man, the Most High is making things happen, man. And this is, as you see that our people is, clashing with these damn devils here, the Most High is making it happen making it happen around the world. Right. So it's a beautiful thing, man. This is not a time to be, engaged in folly. It's more time than ever to be on fire. Have your spirit, kind of, riled up, and always watching. Right. That we should always be in a position of, watching what's happening.
So, real quick, can you get Isaiah 49 and 19? That was the precept. Brother put it in the chat. That was the precept I was talking about. Israel's trying to use that in a lot of, prophecies in Isaiah about the end times, basically in what's going on with them in Gaza. If you can just bring that out just real quick, Salakia.
Kind. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter, you said 49 and 19? Kind. And it reads, "For thy waste and thy desolate places and the land of thy destruction shall even now be unto narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallow thee up shall be far away."
Right. So they're going, they're kind of going into that prophecy in Isaiah and trying to use that as a reason to, get these, so-called inhabitants, the land doesn't belong to either one of them, but they're using that as justification for, what's going on in Gaza, trying to expand their land. We know the prophecy says from the Nile to the Euphrates. So even with that, if they try to expand even farther, that would mean they'd have to expand into Egypt. So, it'll be interesting to see what comes at this point, but they're trying to establish the vision of them fulfilling prophecy. And, so people could actually look at that and be like, wow, those must be the, God's chosen people. So, they're just trying to, establish their, Zionist dreams at this point. But, I just wanted to kind of bring that out. For the brother sending it to the chat.
Definitely mighty precept. So before we close out, I don't know if Mikael is you in a good place, King? Are you around? You might be tied up.
Do I sound good?
Yeah, you sound straight, King. You want to talk about the challenge that you got going?
Oh yeah, okay, come. Yeah, right now Truth Mafia is we're doing a challenge called Warrior Boot Camp. It's a 60-day challenge, for brothers. Sisters can do it too, but mainly for the brothers. And here are the challenges. So for 60 days, we're gonna collectively do, well, not collectively, but individually do 1,000 push-ups a week, read 14 chapters a week, and fast one time. So 60 days into so-called 2024. So, that's the reason we chose the number 60 days. But, and we're going to track our progress, try to grow closer to the Most High and just teach ourselves better discipline and consistency. So, Lord willing, brothers join in, hit us up for encouragement. We got to encourage each other through it because, you might skip push-ups for a day and then that turn into 2 days. So, the brotherhood will help uplift you and keep you going. And Lord willing, we all endure. But Khan, just hit up a brother in Truth Mafia and we'll get you the flyer.
Con. I sent the link up there. That's on TikTok, but go to the Truth Mafia. Like I said, hit up brother Mikael or myself, brother Mike. Also go to the Truth Mafia IG. Believe that you could get that from I'll actually put the IG link in the chat. So that's where the flyer is pinned at on the Truth Mafia IG. Make sure you follow on the Truth Mafia IG, right? Of course, follow the brothers. I think I don't even know if we could put it in the house here on Clubhouse anymore. I don't know if we could pin it there, but like you said, follow the brother, and you'll be able to get that challenge that's currently started today. So yeah, man, stand up, be counted. I think it's Sirach 30 and 15. You know, um, it's definitely a good thing in this time, and with war coming to this land, we got to be prepared. So it's definitely a good thing for Israel. We need it around this time. It's a wicked time of year. Today's a very wicked day, so we should be invested in discipline. So yeah. So with that being said, as always, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach wa Malak Yahushai. Pray that you have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay safe, stay vigilant. Always watching. Kwame Shala. Shalom.